right, let's do this. -4. Got a little colder overnight. All right, y'all, the pool's finally starting to freeze over.
Well, Bitcoin sold off last night and continues to remain under 50,000. So here goes crypto cold plunge number 28. This time, ice plunge. As you can see, the pool has finally begun to freeze over. So Bitcoin Bob's services are not quite as useful anymore, but let's get a temperature readout. What do you think, Bob? We're looking at about 34 degrees right now. This is the coldest water I've ever been in my entire life, and also the coldest weather I've ever been in.
I gotta take a picture of this.
Here, let me grab a chunk of ice to really show what we're dealing with here.
Oh my god. I gotta show all my friends this.
That's my fan club, the Crypto Cold Plunge fan club. Time for our underwater meditation. I think this is good. 3 minutes. 3 minutes in the plungy. It's -4 out right now. The pool's freezing over. This water is starting to freeze on my skin, so we're gonna call this one good. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me in the news section of the video. I hope you liked that cold plunge. I am finally warm again. I never thought I'd be warm ever again, but you know, things happen. So let's get right into the Bitcoin chart. So yesterday I mentioned that Bitcoin was printing new highs on a Sunday, which was atypical considering that normally Bitcoin sells off on Sundays. And well, yesterday was no different. Unfortunately, last night during the overnight session, we got a big sell-off. You can see a lot of sell orders here, very big red candle, 2 of them on the hourly chart, but we had a nice bounce off of support around the mid 46,000s, and we bounced off and are currently sitting in the mid 47s. This is a pretty good sign that the sellers were met with a much larger wave of buyers here, although you can see that the buying activity is not nearly as big as the selling activity. So we did see a good bounce, but it looked sketchy for a minute there. And then we can also see that the mid 48s is now acting as resistance again. We kind of touched off of that, so hopefully in the coming days, we'll be able to push back through that and get a technical breakout above 50K. As you can imagine, we weren't the only ones that noticed that sell-off yesterday. Cointelegraph writes 1.89 billion liquidated. If we move to the subheading, we'll see 1.89 billion worth of cryptocurrency futures positions were liquidated over the past 24 hours. Here we have a breakdown of the futures positions liquidated by exchange. We can see Binance liquidated almost 1 billion worth of futures. Meanwhile, Bitfinex only did about 3 million. This is quite interesting because 3 million and 993 million are about 2 orders of magnitude difference. So it would be interesting to see what exactly was behind the disparities and what's going on at Binance. Bitcoin and Ethereum weren't the only coins that sold off. In fact, they were actually relatively unscathed compared to some of the altcoins. See, Ripple, EOS, and Litecoin were also pummeled. And 2 other leading altcoins, Atom and Sushi, dropped by over 20%. Ethereum drops by a total of about 9%, Bitcoin 7%, and as I mentioned, altcoins over 20%. So from that angle, Bitcoin actually escaped relatively unscathed. And this is pretty good news, especially given that bounce that it had. And our final bit of news for today will be a new record set by Bitcoin. Last week, Bitcoin had its biggest ever weekly candle with a 25% or $9,800 gain in one single week. And as we can see here, part of that biggest ever weekly candle was the biggest ever daily candle. So let's hope that the positive catalysts keep rolling in and we can see Bitcoin 50K pretty soon, because that was pretty brutal this morning, very cold, and it's only going to get colder in the coming days here. So I'll keep doing that, but smash the like button if you enjoy the dedication to this, because that is not an easy thing to get up and do. Well, that's all I have for you today, folks. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Cold Plunge every day until Bitcoin 50K. If you like watching me do this, There's a playlist with 27 other episodes, but that's all, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.